It's time for the Smash That Small pad collaboration where we try and bust pads that are smaller than 12 by 12. So this time I used Pirate Tales by Echo Park. Let's see what I made with this one. Hey guys, it's Beth, welcome. It is time again for the Smash That Small paper pad collaboration that I do with my friend Sarah, who's crafting and relaxing here on YouTube, and Kathy, who's Stampin' Cat over on Instagram. Each month, we just pick a pad smaller than 12 by 12. It can be any size smaller than 12 by 12. This time I used a 6 by 6, and we just work on smashing that pad. This month I used Pirate Tales by Echo Park. This is kind of keeping in theme with my goal to use up some of the non-holiday themed pads that I have that are like weird, very specific themes that aren't just like, you know, florals or campy or something. These are very specific. So I decided to go ahead and use this one just because I've been in Cards for Cubs mode, need to get those cards sent out here by the end of this month. And so I decided to use this one and get some cards out of it, but I also wanted to do another fun project with it. So I had this pad that I got in a Echo Park warehouse box, not something I would have picked out for myself. And then also somewhere along the way, I ended up with the Pirate Tales decorative brads. It also had some chipboard embellishments at the bottom that I was able to use. So I started out with this little mini album. This is a chipboard, like a 6 by 6 chipboard album that I picked up on clearance at Michael's many years ago for like 50 cents. And I grabbed a ton of them at the time because they were 50 cents. And so I have a bunch that I'm still trying to use up. And what it was, like, it came with one binder ring and it had like a hole here up at, like, in one of the corners. So what I did is I just kind of ignored that hole because I knew I wanted to turn it into more of a book style and add like at least two binder rings. And so these are even smaller than the one it came with. I think they were like more like an 1.5 to 2 inches, where these are closer to an inch wide binder rings. But I just took, and it was really nice because I didn't have to trim down my paper, really. They just, you know, I could just glue them straight to these 6 by 6 chipboard pieces. And like this one, it worked really well, like this pirate scene kind of in a cove where the ship is in a cove. That way I could just use the whole scene and didn't have to cut it up. So I made this my cover, and then just took two of the cut aparts and kind of layered, you know, the back of one behind this pirates only, all others will walk the plank. I just thought that was kind of a fun announcement that this is a pirate themed album if you didn't get that from the scene. And then I took the metal prongs off the back of the brads and then just used some adhesive on the back side, kind of like, I kind of layered up some adhesive to be able to stick the brads flush to the album. And then this is one of those chipboard pieces. So then on some pages I added some cardstock mats, and then I used some of the cut aparts in the pad as embellishments. Like this one I left up so that you could still tuck a picture and use the whole card mat here. Added another one of those brads with adhesive. This was one of the chipboard pieces, and that lifts up like a lift the flap. And then here just added at the bottom one of the cut aparts and then some of those brads again. I didn't, because it's just the chipboard and the paper, like there were no, I didn't want to use the brads and have the bulk of the prongs showing underneath the layers. And so that's why I just decided the prongs came off super easy. You just stretch them out a couple times and they pop right off. I didn't even have to cut them. So here again, I used some of the journal cards, chipboard piece, or the cut aparts, and another chipboard piece. And on this last one, this was a sentiment that I was using on some of my cards. I just used it here kind of as a flat embellishment, again, left open here so that a picture could be tucked in on this photo mat. So it's just a small album, like there's only 8 pages total, including the, you know, the front cover, but just something fun, and again, something kind of boy themed that I can offer at my craft shows at a lower price point. And then I made a bunch of cards, and I did use card sketches for these, but I was out of town and was just using them on my phone, and I didn't save which ones they were, so I apologize. But I just, I used the paper as mats if I could, like some of the more tone-on-tone, not so busy patterns, I used those as mats. Otherwise, I brought in some cardstock, and all of the sentiments that aren't cut aparts, these I just used off my silhouette. I just typed in Ahoy Matey and picked a fun font, like in this one, and let that be my sentiment. Some of them, like this was one I actually did, it's a design I purchased and printed off, so. And on the inside of each card, I do have scrap of cardstock or patterned paper. And this was just a ship wheel that I also cut out of some scrap vinyl as an additional embellishment. This was, like I said, I just printed that one. For I needed a couple of bigger embellishments for some of these cards. Like this was one of those strip cards where I just glued some of the strips that I had left. And so I wanted something big that would really stand out on that one. This was just a little cut apart. Did use cut aparts on several. This one I was just trying to use up some scraps and used one of the bigger cut aparts. So here's where these were, this was another design I purchased that just said Ahoy Matey and made it so that it could be punched into a circle. And this is actually Operation Right Home sketch number 154. It's the one I use all the time. Have that one memorized. These were some of the smaller cut aparts, either the back sides or the front sides that didn't have like any words on it. And I have a bunch of these. And then I had sequins from a kit, the kit that I used earlier this month. I had that with me out of town as well. And so I did use some sequins in places just to add some additional embellishment where I thought it was needed. But that is my small pad smash. Again, these will be sent off to Cards for Cubs, and this I plan to just offer for sale at our craft shows. But this was the Pirate Tales pad, and again, this is the collaboration, so please be sure to check out Sarah and Kathy's links below to see what small pads they used this month. Thank you guys so very much for your time, and hope you all have a very crafty day.